Hi, it's Andrew from Lily's Florist. I'm helping Bella with her blog post, and she's a little camera shy, and so am I. But I thought I'd give it a crack. So, the goal of today's video is to show you how to, in a very simple way, just make a customer review in Canva, and I'll show you how to do that briefly. And I'll also show you how to download it. So I think the one that Bella was working on was this one. So we'll click that, and then I think she was getting you to customize the template. So click on the purple button, which will then populate the review. By this time you should have your hex codes if you've read the post and followed what to do. She gave you the example of this one. So we'll just go through it very briefly because I've done that in another video already, but here are the hex codes we're going to work with. So let's start with the green. So we've got our hex code now. I don't know what green that is, but it's certainly a green. So what you'll do is you'll have these panels light up. You can see that purple bold border around. So you can customize each of the panels. Now these aren't the best colors, but they'll do just for demonstration purposes. Excuse me. So we'll copy that code and we'll pop over here and to this panel, and we'll click on that. And then we'll click on the color button here, and then we'll hit the plus sign to customize the color, and then we'll just do Control V for paste if you're using a PC. And there we have our color pasted, and we might just do the other one as well. Let me hit that panel. Now you can see that the whole back panel is in your website color or your branded color, which is something you don't have to do, but it's certainly something that you could do. You don't have to have your branded colors. You could just use this standard template, of course. So what we'll do, so you've got, by this stage you'll have your review somewhere, and I'll leave this generic content here, but what you would do is just double click on it, or sorry, go to your review, copy the text in the review, and then go here, double click on it, and then just paste it there by doing that, and that will populate the review. If you find it's too long for this area, you may need to adjust the borders on this. So you can see how it's getting quite long here. It's getting very close to the person who left the review. So you've got a couple of options here, and it's most likely that it will at some point get too close to the review. Now, first of all, we're going to delete that because we're not going to need that. And then we're going to delete that as well. So clicking on it and then delete. So now we've got a bit more room to work with. So what we could do, we can shuffle things around now that we've got more space here. So we can shuffle things around. We can bring that up a bit higher, and you can see that now we've got a big gap there. So we can bring the text up higher, and you can see that purple line down the middle. That means it's centered in relation to the whole square. So it's something that's good to know. And we might just we'll bring Juliana's name up a little higher. Now, I would strongly advise not putting the customer's surname, so you could just delete the surname and just add the initial if you like. So now we can shuffle this around. We can probably bring that down a little lower. Bella suggested, and I would agree, if you can add some details about the delivery, that would be great. So for example, if we just double click in this box again and then hit and then hit enter, you can see that it drops the cursor down one line. So what you could do is delivered to, and then you could do Bondi. Delivery date is always handy. Let's just do today's date. Let's do 25. And optionally, you could add roses. That's entirely up to you, okay? And optionally too, you could do order ref. And I'm doing another line just to show you something. Could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That could be your website order reference number. Now you can see, I did this just so I could show you, you can see now that we're below that line. So what you could do is you could just get your mouse and just drag it onto that middle little tab there and just pull down gently to space it out. So that kind of looks like, it looks fairly good, which is great. You can adjust the stars too if it's a 4-star review. I mean, obviously you want to have the best reviews there, so just collect your 5-star reviews for your website. That'll help with you know, your conversion rate and so on and so forth. So for this particular example, because it's a free one, you generally do have this there, so you can use your website. But because it's sitting on your website, it's a little superfluous. So I would not have that there, but you can change that if you want to keep it there. Okay, so you could just click on that. And if you want to delete it, you just hit the delete button. If you go, oh, I need to keep it, there's a little back button up here. Excuse me. And then hit the back button. Or you can hit the forward button if you decide otherwise. So we can probably change the heading too. We could do, just double click on it and then type customer reviews or customer review. And you can see that that's folded down to the second level. Just to bring that onto one line, you could go again on this side this time and just drag it slowly across, and eventually it should pop up to the top line, which it just did. But now you notice that it's not centered. So if you click on it and hold down and just drag slightly left, and there you go, there's your center line. I've gone too far. There's the center line. So that should be perfectly aligned now. Now I know this is just very basic, but it's still effective. And if you're creative, you can do any number of things to make this look 100 times better. This is just a demonstration, okay? So at that point, let's assume that you're happy with the review. The next step would be to resize it. Now that's quite a big file size in terms of the way it would sit in your website. So I would suggest resizing it in here. And if you go to custom sizes, my advice would be to resize it to 450 by 450. And we want to resize this design. Now you can do two things. You can copy and resize, or you can resize. Now the beauty about copying and resizing is that you'll still have the original large one in case the 450 by 450 is too small or too big. You can always go back to the original and resize it again. So we'll copy and resize, and then it should ask you to open, it should prompt you, there we go. So now we can open the one we just resized while retaining the original. So now, last step, how do we download that? So we've got a nice, although it looks the same size as the other one, I can assure you it's probably that big. What we can do is hit the share button, and then we will go to this download button, and then what we want to do is click on JPEG and just leave everything the same and then hit download. The reason why I hit JPEG is it creates a much smaller file size. So you can see that it's only 24 kilobits, which is really, really small. So when you upload it to your website, it's not going to use too many resources to load the image, therefore it won't slow your website down. If you had an image that was 2 megabytes, for example, or 10 megabytes, the load speed on your web page would be increased quite a bit, and maybe by a millisecond or two, but it's enough that it slows it down, and you just definitely don't want that for SEO and for customer experience. At that point, you can open the file where the file lives, or you can open it as an image in one of your apps within your computer. It's up to you, and that's about it. I think I've done enough talking, but I hope that explains it in a very brief way. Thanks for listening. Bye.